You ever see a kid just riding her bike, minding her own business on a sunny Saturday, and somehow the whole neighborhood acts like she's robbing the place? Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec, because what started as a 10-year-old girl waiting for her friend turned into the kind of standoff that'll change how folks talk to each other on Magnolia Trace for years to come. You could hear the rubber rolling over the fresh blacktop all afternoon. Simone Oldridge, 10 years old, looping her bike around the cul-de-sac in Huntersville, North Carolina, waiting on her friend Mia. Every once in a while, she'd stand up on her pedals, let the wind catch her braids, singing that song from the show she always watched after school. Not a care in the world. Just waiting killing time, doing what kids have done forever, except this neighborhood wasn't built for kids being kids anymore, not with Janice Kettering on watch. Janice sat on her porch glass of iced tea, sweating in her hand, eyes sharp and lips so thin you'd think they'd slice the glass. Head of the HOA, self-appointed defender of order folks round here, say she's got a sixth sense for spotting a garbage bin left out too long, grass half an inch too high car on the curb. Most folks rolled their eyes, but nobody wanted to tangle with her. Today, though, she wasn't counting bins. She was watching Simone circle that roundabout and building a whole movie in her mind. "That girl doesn't live here," she muttered, and next thing you know, she's dialing the non-emergency police number. Simone, of course, hadn't noticed. She was busy balancing on her bike, retying her sneaker, just hoping Mia would come out soon. Across the street, Janice was giving dispatch the rundown. "There's a girl, maybe 10 or 11, on a blue bike. Black girl just circling. I don't recognize her. It looks suspicious." Even gave them the "we don't allow loitering" line like she was reciting a spell. Meanwhile, Simone's just sipping water, humming, waiting, dragging a pebble down the street. No clue she's become a problem. Neighbors started to notice Janice's posture, that sharp look, the phone call. Mark and Elaine Porter, just back from the grocery, shot each other a look. "Is she calling the cops on Simone?" Elaine whispered. Mark just shook his head. Janice and her rules. But nobody said anything yet. Just a few blinds twitching, a couple more faces at the window. The air shifting, the street going quieter, heavier, like everyone was waiting for thunder. Simone tugged her backpack a little tighter, feeling the heat of all those stares. "Why's everybody looking at me?" she muttered, starting to shrink. She had no idea that the wheels of trouble were already in motion, that a cop car was already on its way, summoned by nothing more than a hunch and a phone call. Janice couldn't help herself. She called dispatch again. "She's still here. Now she's sitting down, just making sure you're close by." Dispatch told her to sit tight. Janice felt a weird pride, like she'd caught a fox in the hen house. Meanwhile, across the street, the other adults started whispering. "She's waiting for Mia. Everybody knows that," Elaine said. "Loitering. She's 10. But the rules were the rules, at least, if you asked Janice. Simone considered calling her mom just for comfort, but remembered the lesson: be patient. Don't wander off. Just wait. The birds chirped, the world spun a little slower, until even Mr. Dwyer, the old neighbor with the Massachusetts accent, hollered across the yard. Janice called the cops on Simone for what, being a kid. But Janice didn't look his way. She was busy playing watchdog. Inside Mia's house, things weren't much calmer. Mia was tying her sneakers, ready to run out and play, but her mom caught sight of the tension outside Janice on the porch. Simone looking small on the curb, neighbors gathering like clouds before a storm. "Not yet," Mrs. Nguyen said, pulling Mia back. "Something's happening." That's when the patrol car turned, the corner lights flashing, just enough to catch the sun and make every heart on the street skip a beat. Simone's stomach dropped, confusion mixing with fear. Then the car door creaked open, boots hit the asphalt, and out stepped Chief Renata Collins. That's right, the city's police chief, Simone's own mother, standing in the sun in full uniform. For one perfect second, the street went silent, as if Huntersville itself realized the punchline had landed and nobody could look away. Simone let out a breath. "Mom." But if she was relieved, Janice looked like she'd bitten into a lemon. She straightened up, already rehearsing her lines. Chief. I'm glad you're here. We've had some concerns." You could feel the neighbors bristle. Elaine Porter muttered, Did she really just say that after all this? Renata walked over, slow, deliberate, one hand on Simone's shoulder, calm as could be. And what concerns are those? Ms. Kettering, Janice wasn't giving up her ground. This child was circling, looked suspicious. We've had incidents in neighborhoods before. I was doing my duty as HOA. Simone's voice, trembling but honest, cut through. I was just waiting for Mia. The crowd rippled with whispers, some embarrassed, some angry, some just tired of the whole show. Renata's voice went low, the kind of calm that warned you to tread careful. You called the police about a child on a bicycle waiting for her friend. Do you understand the weight of that? Janice folded her arms. I was protecting the neighborhood. Elaine, finally fed up, called her out. You knew what you were implying, Janice. Don't pretend otherwise. Renata's words hung in the air. What would have happened if another officer showed up instead of me? What headline would you have written for this child? The silence was thick. Simone, clutching her mother's hand, whispered, Why would she call the police on me? Renata crouched down, brushed a braid from Simone's cheek. Sometimes people don't see the whole picture, sweetheart. Sometimes they just jump. The crowd was growing now, people drifting out the quiet, turning into a kind of verdict. Janice couldn't let go. She leaned forward. Chief Collins, we have to take these things seriously. I've seen kids scout houses before things went missing. A gasp shot through the group. Simone squeezed her mom's hand. Scout houses? Renata shot back, calm and sharp. That's an accusation you don't get to make against a 10-year-old girl. You escalated something that never needed to be escalated, and now your neighbors are witnesses to a mistake. Mark Porter found his voice. Janice, this is embarrassing. Everyone knows Simone. My kids play with her. You had no reason to call. Janice glared. If no harm was done, why am I the villain? Elaine didn't miss a beat because you turned a child into a suspect. Now her mother, the chief of police, had to come set you straight. Renata let it all settle, didn't need to add much. The neighbors were doing that work themselves. Mia's face peeked out the window, parents holding her back as if letting her outside would mean letting her into the storm. Simone slumped. I just wanted to ride bikes. Renata pulled her in. That's all you were doing, baby girl. And for the first time, some folks started to realize they'd been silent too long. They hadn't made the call, but they hadn't stopped it either. Janice tried to gather herself. I've been entrusted with maintaining order. When I see something out of place, I report it. Renata didn't flinch. And you believe a 10-year-old girl on a bicycle is out of place? Janice's voice wavered. It's about behavior circling, waiting. We've all heard stories, Elaine shot back. Cautious doesn't mean calling the cops on a kid you see every week. Mr. Dwyer, flower bed, hose in hand, piped up again. This isn't Boston, and she isn't casing houses. She's a child, period. And for once, Janice felt her authority slipping. Renata stepped forward. You made a report that could have gone very differently if it wasn't me who showed up. A young girl could have been questioned, handcuffed, traumatized, all because you made assumptions. Simone's voice, small but strong, cut through again. I was waiting for Mia. I wasn't doing anything wrong. You didn't even ask me. The words hit harder than any uniform could muster. Elaine's voice rose. We all live here together. If something's wrong, talk first. Don't escalate, especially not against kids. Mrs. Nguyen finally stepped forward. I kept my daughter inside because I was afraid. Afraid of what your phone call would bring down on Simone and on all our kids. That truth landed heavy. Carlos Rivera from the far end called out, You've complained about my truck, Janice, but now I see what it's really about. It was never just the rules. It's who you think fits here and who doesn't. Janice's voice cracked. This is outrageous. I treat everyone equally, Renata cut in. Rules mean nothing if they're enforced without fairness or humanity. You called in law enforcement for a child, and now you've turned your neighborhood into a divided street that's not order, that's harm. Simone whispered, I just wanted to ride my bike. I didn't want all this. That innocence pierced the tension. Neighbors looked at their shoes, realizing they'd let this go too far. Elaine softened. We're neighbors, Janice. We should be looking out for each other's kids, not turning them into suspects. Renata let it hang. This isn't just about today. It's about what kind of neighborhood you want to live in. Fear will rot it from the inside. Compassion holds it together. The sun slipped lower, casting long shadows. What started as a Saturday ride had become a reckoning. Janice's authority wilted under all those stares. Renata's final words carried across the yard. There are two ways forward. We can pretend this never happened, let the same patterns repeat, or we can take this for what it is. A reminder that the smallest decisions, even a single call, can have consequences far bigger than we realize. Carlos Rivera chimed in, change means accountability. If you see bias, call it out. Not just Janice, any of us. Janice finally mumbled, I'm sorry, the word's foreign on her tongue. Renata nodded. That's a start. But apology only matters if it changes behavior. Mia finally ran outside, grabbed Simone's hand. You belong here. Don't ever think you don't. Kids get it before adults do sometimes. Renata took a long look at the crowd. You can be the kind of community that guards against shadows that don't exist, or you can protect each other, treat every child like your own. It's not about bylaws, it's about humanity. Neighbors murmured, some nodding, some just thinking. For the first time, it felt like maybe something had shifted, not all at once, but enough to start healing. Simone, finally able to breathe, asked, Can we go home now? Renata bent, kissed her head. You've been brave enough for one day. As they left, neighbors stepped aside, some with nods, a few with soft smiles, not everyone but enough to mark the difference. The cruiser's lights faded, the street settling back to normal, sort of. In the car, Simone whispered, Will it happen again? Renata met her eyes in the mirror. It might, baby. But what matters is how we respond. Don't let someone else's fear define who you are. Back on the porch, Janice stared at her melted ice, the old confidence slipping away. Around dinner tables, parents tried to explain what happened, some with shame, some with resolve. For some folks, it was just another Saturday. For Simone, it was the day she learned that even when you do everything right, the world can still get it wrong, but you stand tall anyway. So what kind of neighbor do you want to be? The kind who jumps to suspicion, or the kind who stands up for fairness even when it's hard? That's not just Janice's question, that's for all of us. If you want to hear more stories that shake things up, that reveal tough truths, stick around, because sometimes the conversations we avoid are the ones that matter most. And if you've ever faced something like this or have a thought on what real justice looks like, drop it in the comments. This isn't just Simone's story, it's every neighborhood's. What happens next is up to us.